I pulled into the parking lot of Meridian Tech Solutions at 7:30 a.m., my Honda Civic finding its usual spot 3 rows back from the executive spaces. At 27, I'd been the company's star account manager for 3 years, but I still preferred arriving early to grab a coffee and review client files before the chaos began. The morning sun glinted off the glass facade of our downtown Seattle office as I swiped my badge and headed to the break room. I'd started as a junior associate fresh out of University of Washington, armed with a business degree and fluent Mandarin thanks to my grandmother's insistence on weekend language school throughout my childhood. "Morning, Sarah," called out Mike from IT, already nursing his second cup of coffee. "Ready for another day of making us all look bad with those sales numbers?" I laughed, pouring myself a cup of Pike Place roast. "Just doing my job, Mike." But it wasn't just any job. I managed Meridian's 3 largest accounts, all Chinese manufacturing companies that had chosen our mid-sized software firm specifically because I could conduct business in their native language. Chen Industries, Beijing Dynamics, and Guangzhou Systems represented 60% of the company's revenue, and I was their only direct line of communication. I'd built these relationships from scratch, spending late nights on video calls with executives in Shanghai, learning the nuances of Chinese business culture, and even flying to Beijing twice a year for face-to-face meetings. The clients trusted me implicitly, often calling my personal cell phone to discuss contract details or technical issues. As I settled at my desk, I noticed the flurry of activity in the corner office. Through the glass walls, I could see boxes being moved and papers being shuffled. Our longtime CEO, Robert Martinez, had retired last month after 20 years of steady leadership. Today was the first day for the new boss, some hotshot from Silicon Valley named Brad Hoffman who'd supposedly revolutionized 3 startups before landing at Meridian. I'd heard whispers about Brad's reputation, aggressive cost-cutting, quick decisions, and a tendency to shake things up wherever he went. I'd also heard he'd been hired specifically to modernize our operations and boost profit margins. My phone buzzed with a text from my best friend Lisa, "Heard about the new CEO. How's the first day going?" I typed back, "Haven't met him yet. Fingers crossed he's not as intense as everyone says." Little did I know, my entire career was about to change before lunch. At 10:15 a.m., my computer chimed with a company-wide email, "All hands meeting in conference room A at 11 a.m. Mandatory attendance. Brad Hoffman, CEO." I grabbed my notebook and joined the stream of employees filing into the largest conference room. The space buzzed with nervous energy as 53 people packed into chairs and lined the walls. Brad Hoffman stood at the front, a lean man in his early 40s wearing a charcoal suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. "Good morning, team," Brad began, his voice carrying the confident clip of someone used to being the smartest person in the room. "I know change can be uncomfortable, but I'm here to take Meridian to the next level. We're going to streamline operations, eliminate redundancies, and focus on scalable growth." I scribbled notes, but something in Brad's tone made my stomach tighten. I'd heard this speech before, at my previous company, right before they laid off half the marketing department. "I've spent the last month reviewing our books, and I see tremendous potential," Brad continued. "But potential doesn't pay the bills. We need to be more efficient, more competitive, and more profitable. That means making some tough decisions." He clicked to the next slide, Organizational Restructuring Timeline. "Over the next 2 weeks, I'll be conducting individual performance reviews with department heads and key personnel. Some roles will evolve, others will be eliminated, and we'll be implementing new technologies to automate processes wherever possible." My pen stopped moving. Around the room, I could see my colleagues exchanging worried glances. "I know what you're thinking," Brad said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "But this isn't about downsizing, it's about right-sizing. We're going to become a leaner, more agile organization that can compete with the big players in our space." After the meeting, I walked back to my desk feeling unsettled. I'd been through 2 rounds of layoffs at my previous job, and I recognized the corporate speak. But I also knew my value to the company. Those 3 Chinese accounts weren't just numbers on a spreadsheet, they were relationships I'd built over years of trust and cultural understanding. My phone rang, displaying the familiar international prefix. "Wei, Sarah," came the voice of Mr. Wong from Chen Industries. "Mr. Wong, how are you?" I replied in Mandarin, automatically switching to the respectful tone I'd perfected over years of practice. "I'm well, thank you. I wanted to discuss the Q3 upgrade timeline. Can we schedule a call for tomorrow morning my time? Of course, let me check my calendar. As I scheduled the call, I felt a surge of confidence. Brad might be shaking things up, but he couldn't possibly eliminate the person who generated most of the company's revenue. Could he? 2 weeks later, I was updating quarterly reports when my computer calendar chimed, meeting with CEO conference room B 2 p.m. I'd been expecting this conversation, my turn for the individual performance review Brad had mentioned. I gathered my sales reports, client testimonials, and revenue projections. On paper, my performance was flawless, 127% of quota for the year, 0 client complaints, and a 98% retention rate across all my accounts. I'd even drafted a proposal for expanding into the Taiwan market, complete with potential revenue projections and cultural considerations. Conference room B was smaller than the main meeting space, with a round table and 2 chairs. Brad was already seated, a thin folder in front of him and his laptop open. He looked up as I entered, his expression unreadable. "Sarah, thanks for coming. Please, have a seat." I settled into the chair across from him, placing my portfolio on the table. "I brought my quarterly reports and some ideas for—" "That won't be necessary," Brad interrupted, his tone businesslike. "I'll get straight to the point. We're restructuring the sales department, and your position is being eliminated." The words hit me like a physical blow. I blinked, certain I'd misheard. "I'm sorry, what?" "Your last day will be Friday. HR will handle the paperwork and your final paycheck will include 2 weeks severance." My mind raced. This had to be a mistake. "Brad, I think there's been some confusion. I manage our 3 largest accounts, Chen Industries, Beijing Dynamics, and Guangzhou Systems. These clients generate over 60% of our revenue." Brad nodded dismissively. "I'm aware of the numbers. We're implementing a new CRM system with automated translation capabilities. It'll be more efficient than having dedicated account managers for specific languages." "Automated translation?" My voice rose despite my effort to stay calm. "These are relationship-based clients. Mr. Wong from Chen Industries has been working with me personally for 3 years. They don't just want someone who speaks Chinese, they want someone who understands their business culture, their communication style there." "Sarah, I appreciate your passion, but this decision is final. The new system will handle communications just fine. We're moving toward a more scalable model." I stared at him, processing the magnitude of what was happening. "Have you spoken to these clients? Do you understand what you're about to lose?" Brad's expression hardened. "I understand that we're paying you $85,000 a year plus bonuses to do something a $200 a month software subscription can handle. It's simple math." "It's not simple math when those clients walk away because they feel disrespected or misunderstood. Brad, please just give me 5 minutes to explain." "The meeting is over, Sarah. HR will be in touch about your transition timeline." I sat in stunned silence as Brad closed his laptop and stood to leave. As he reached the door, I found my voice again. "You're making a huge mistake." Brad paused, his hand on the doorknob. "Maybe. But it's my mistake to make." The door closed behind him with a soft click, leaving me alone in the conference room with my unused portfolio and the devastating realization that my career at Meridian was over. I sat in my Honda Civic in the parking lot, hands shaking as I dialed Lisa's number. The call went straight to voicemail. I tried my mom next, then my sister, but couldn't bring myself to leave a message. How do you explain that you've just been fired from a job you were objectively excellent at? Instead, I drove to Pike Place Market and wandered among the vendors, trying to process what had happened. The familiar chaos of tourists and locals, the smell of fresh fish and coffee, the calls of vendors hawking their wares, it all felt surreal against the backdrop of my professional devastation. My phone buzzed with a text from my colleague Jenny, "Heard about the meeting. Are you okay? Call me." I typed back, "I'm fine. Just need some time to think." But I wasn't fine. I was angry, confused, and terrified about my future. I'd been loyal to Meridian for 3 years, going above and beyond in every metric that mattered. I'd sacrificed personal time, taken calls at midnight, and built relationships that had directly contributed to the company's success. That evening, I sat at my kitchen table with a glass of wine and my laptop, updating my resume. It felt like an exercise in futility. How do you explain being fired from a job where you exceeded every performance metric? My phone rang with an international number. Mr. Wong from Chen Industries. Sarah, I hope I'm not calling too late. I wanted to confirm tomorrow's presentation schedule. My throat tightened. Mr. Wong, I need to tell you something. I'm no longer going to be your account manager at Meridian. There was a long pause. I'm sorry, I don't understand. Did you take another position? No, the company decided to restructure. Someone else will be handling your account going forward. Another pause, longer this time. Sarah, you built this relationship. You understand our business, our culture, our needs. Who will replace you? I don't know yet. The company is implementing new systems to handle client communications. New systems. Mr. Wong's voice carried a note of concern. Sarah, we chose Meridian because of you. Your understanding of our business, your reliability, your respect for our way of doing things. If you're not there. The implication hung heavy in the air. I felt a mixture of vindication and dread. I tried to warn Brad, but he dismissed my concerns as self-serving. I understand, Mr. Wong. I wish things were different. As do I. Sarah, please keep in touch. You have my personal number. After hanging up, I poured myself another glass of wine and stared at my laptop screen. The cursor blinked in the empty job objective field, waiting for me to define my next move. I had no idea it would come sooner than I thought. Friday morning arrived with Seattle's typical December drizzle. I packed my personal items into a banker's box, my desk plant, a few framed photos, my favorite coffee mug, and the business cards for my Chinese clients. 3 years of my professional life reduced to a cardboard container. As I carried the box toward the elevator, I ran into Mike from IT at the coffee machine. This is bullshit, Sarah. Everyone knows you're the reason those big clients stay with us. I managed a weak smile. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. No, seriously. Brad's making a huge mistake. Yesterday, I had to help him set up some Google Translate extension for his browser. He thinks that's going to replace what you do? The guy's delusional. My hand paused on the elevator button. Google Translate? Yeah, apparently he's planning to use it for client communications. I tried to explain that it's not exactly professional grade, but he said it would be sufficient for basic business correspondence. The elevator doors opened, but I didn't step inside. A plan was beginning to form in my mind, not revenge exactly, but a way to demonstrate the value of what Brad was about to lose. Mike, hypothetically, if someone wanted to see how those client communications go after I leave, would that be possible? Mike glanced around the hallway and lowered his voice. Hypothetically, all company emails are backed up to the server. And hypothetically, I might have accidentally given you the wrong access credentials before your account gets deactivated. I felt a surge of gratitude for my IT friend. That's very hypothetical of you. What Brad doesn't understand is that you don't just speak Chinese, you speak business. There's a difference. The elevator doors started to close, but I held them open. Mike, how long do you think it'll take for this whole thing to blow up? Mike considered the question seriously. Based on what I've seen, I'd give it 2 weeks. Maybe 3 if the clients are feeling patient. I stepped into the elevator, my mind racing with possibilities. Thanks for everything, Mike. Keep in touch, Sarah. And let me know if you need a reference. I've got a feeling Brad's going to realize his mistake pretty soon. As the elevator descended, I felt something I hadn't experienced in weeks, hope. Not for getting my job back, that bridge was burned, but for something better. Something that would prove my worth while building my own future. The doors opened to the parking garage, and I walked toward my Civic with renewed purpose. I had some phone calls to make. My phone rang at 9:47 a.m. on a rainy Tuesday, exactly 10 days after my termination. I was at my kitchen table, working on a freelance translation project, when I saw Mike's name on the caller ID. You need to see this, Mike said without preamble. Check your email. And maybe make some popcorn. I opened my laptop and logged into the backup email account Mike had discreetly provided. My inbox contained forwarded copies of the client communications from the past week and a half. I opened the first thread with Chen Industries. The initial email from Brad was professional enough, introducing himself as the new primary contact and expressing his commitment to continued partnership. Mr. Wong's response was polite but formal, asking about my departure and requesting a transition call. Then came Brad's reply, run through Google Translate, Sarah transition completed. New operational systems provide enhanced capability for business conducting. Please to confirm meeting schedule for discussing of contract renewals. I winced. The grammar was awkward, the tone was wrong, and the formal politeness that Mr. Wong expected was completely absent. But it got worse. Mr. Wong's response was measured but cool. Mr. Hoffman, I would appreciate the opportunity to discuss our ongoing partnership. Perhaps we could schedule a video call to review our current contract terms and future needs. Brad's reply, again machine translated, video call unnecessary. Email sufficient for business completion. Contract terms remain same as previously negotiated arrangements. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Sarah, this is Mr. Wong. I have your personal number from our previous discussions. I'm concerned about our partnership with Meridian. Can we speak privately? My heart pounded as I scrolled through more email threads. The pattern was consistent across all three major clients. Brad's robotic, culturally tone-deaf responses were alienating partners who valued relationship and respect above efficiency. The Beijing Dynamics thread was particularly brutal. After a back and forth about a technical issue, Brad had written, "Problem understanding is not required. Payment schedule must be maintained according to contract obligations." My phone rang again. This time it was an international call from Mr. Chen at Guangzhou Systems. "Sarah, I hope you are well. I must ask, is Mr. Hoffman representative of Meridian's new business philosophy?" I chose my words carefully. "Mr. Chen, I can only speak about my own experience. What specific concerns do you have?" Yesterday, we requested a modification to our service agreement. Instead of discussing our needs, he sent a form letter demanding we submit our request through an online portal. "Sarah, we have been partners for 3 years. This is not how partners communicate." Through my laptop screen, I could see more forwarded emails arriving. The subject lines told the story: contract concerns, clarification needed, request for management review. "Mr. Chen, I understand your frustration. Unfortunately, I'm no longer in a position to address these concerns directly." "I know. But you understand our business. You know what we value. If you were to consult independently, would you be available to discuss potential partnerships?" My pulse quickened. I would be open to that conversation. "Excellent. I will speak with Mr. Wong and Mr. Liu. Perhaps we can arrange a meeting next week." After hanging up, I stared at my laptop screen. The emails kept coming, each one documenting Brad's systematic destruction of relationships it had taken me years to build. But instead of feeling vindicated, I felt a profound sense of opportunity. My phone buzzed with another text from Mike. "Just overheard Brad in the hallway. He's reassessing the Chinese market strategy." Translation: he's panicking. I smiled for the first time in weeks. The corporate world was about to learn a valuable lesson about the difference between cost-cutting and value creation. And I was going to be there to pick up the pieces. 3 months later, I sat in the conference room of my new office space in Bellevue, watching my laptop screen as 3 familiar faces appeared in the video call window. Mr. Wong from Chen Industries, Mr. Chun from Guangzhou Systems, and Mr. Liu from Beijing Dynamics were all smiling as they raised their coffee cups in a toast. "To new partnerships," Mr. Wong said in English, before switching to Mandarin, "and to working with someone who understands the value of respect." I raised my own cup of coffee, now served in a mug that read Chen Consulting Solutions, and smiled. "To new beginnings." The journey from fired employee to independent consultant hadn't been easy. I'd spent my severance pay on business registration, professional insurance, and a modest office space. I'd worked 18-hour days translating documents and building my client base. But the foundation had been solid, 3 major clients who valued my expertise more than they valued cost savings. The numbers spoke for themselves. Chen Industries had terminated their contract with Meridian after Brad's final insult, an email demanding immediate payment of outstanding invoices with a threat of legal action. All three companies had followed suit within 2 weeks, taking their combined $2.3 million in annual revenue with them. Sarah, Mr. Chen said, pulling my attention back to the screen, we've been discussing expansion opportunities. Are you prepared to take on additional clients? I consulted my calendar. In the past month, I'd been contacted by 4 other Chinese companies who had heard about my consulting services through word of mouth. My revenue for the quarter was already approaching what I'd made in a full year at Meridian. I'm always interested in growing our partnership network, I replied. What did you have in mind? We know several companies who are frustrated with their current service providers. They're looking for someone who understands both the technical aspects of their business and the cultural considerations. Someone like you. After the call ended, I walked to my office window and looked out at the Seattle skyline. My Honda Civic sat in the parking lot below, but next to it was a new silver Tesla, a reward I'd given myself after landing my 5th major client. My phone buzzed with a LinkedIn notification. Someone had endorsed me for cross-cultural business development. I opened the app and saw a message from someone named Jennifer Walsh. Hi Sarah, I'm the new VP of Sales at Meridian Tech Solutions. I was hoping we could discuss some consulting opportunities with our international clients. I smiled and typed back, thanks for reaching out, Jennifer. I'd be happy to discuss consulting rates. My minimum engagement is $15,000 per month, with a 6-month commitment required. I hit send and leaned back in my chair. Through my office window, I could see the Meridian building in the distance, its glass facade reflecting the afternoon sun. Word through the tech community was that Brad had been reassigned to new opportunities after the company's Q4 earnings report showed a 40% revenue decline. My phone rang with another international call. I answered in fluent Mandarin, switching effortlessly to the respectful tone that had become my trademark. Wei, Sarah speaking. How can I help you build your business today? As I spoke, I reflected on the lesson I'd learned. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about proving someone wrong, it's about proving yourself right. And sometimes, getting fired is the best thing that can happen to your career. My consultation calendar was booked solid for the next 6 months, my client list was growing, and my bank account reflected the value of expertise that couldn't be replaced by Google Translate. Brad Hoffman had been right about one thing, it was simple math. He'd just been working with the wrong numbers. In the corporate world, success is often measured by relationships, not algorithms. I learned that the hard way, but I learned it well. My consulting firm now generates more revenue than my old department ever did, and my clients have learned the difference between cost-cutting and value creation. As for Brad Hoffman, he's reportedly working on a new venture in Austin, Texas, where he's promised to disrupt the traditional consulting model with AI-driven solutions. Some lessons, apparently, are harder to learn than others.